Have you ever been humiliated in front of everyone you love? Because that's what happened to me at my own engagement party. For the sake of this story, you can call me Alyssa. I am 30 years old, and I'm finally convinced that maybe life had given me my happy ending. After years of bad dates, almost relationships, and nights crying to my best friend Tasha about how love always seemed to skip over me, I met Marcus. Or at least, I thought I met the man who would never hurt me. Marcus wasn't flashy, but that was part of the charm. He listened. He laughed at my stupid jokes. He brought me coffee the way I liked it without asking. And when he got down on one knee in the middle of our kitchen one quiet evening, no audience, no performance, just us, I said yes before he even finished the question. So of course, when our families insisted on throwing us a proper engagement party, I was glowing. The restaurant was strung with fairy lights, tables covered in white linens, champagne flutes clinking as people toasted to our future. Friends hugged me, relatives kissed my cheeks, and for once in my life, I felt like the center of something good, something real. I should have noticed the cracks, the way Marcus kept checking his phone when he thought no one was watching, the way Jenna, this woman I barely knew, introduced vaguely as a friend of a friend, hovered too close. She laughed a little too loud at his jokes, touched his arm like they shared some secret I wasn't part of. But I brushed it off, because that's what you do when you want so badly for the story to be perfect. You swallow the unease, tell yourself you're imagining things. You smile for the photos, you accept another glass of champagne, you let yourself believe the fairy tale is still intact. Looking back, every red flag was waving right in front of me that night. The phone, the glances, the way he held my hand but kept looking past me, as though waiting for something else to happen. I thought it was the happiest night of my life. I didn't know it was about to become the most humiliating. Marcus didn't crash into my life like some grand romance movie moment. He slid in quietly, almost like he was meant to be there all along. We met through mutual friends at a dinner I almost didn't attend. I remember thinking he wasn't my type. Too steady, too grounded, but maybe that was exactly why I noticed him. After years of chaos, a man who felt stable seemed like the miracle I didn't know I needed. Because before Marcus, my love life was a battlefield. Relationships that burned too hot and fizzled out fast, men who promised forever and barely lasted a season, one who cheated, one who ghosted, and another who managed to do both. Each time I told myself I'd be smarter next time, more guarded, less willing to hand over my heart. And then Marcus showed up. He wasn't loud or showy. He listened. He remembered little things. My favorite pastry, the story about my childhood dog, how I take my tea. He didn't make me chase him, didn't make me question where we stood. When he met my parents, he shook my dad's hand firmly and complimented my mom's cooking in a way that made her beam. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to defend my choices. My family actually approved. That approval meant more than I admitted at the time. It felt like a green light I'd been waiting for all my life. Somewhere along the way, Jenna entered the picture. Introduced vaguely as a friend of a friend, she was around enough that her face became familiar, but never enough for me to ask questions. She hovered at barbecues, tagged along at parties, laughed a little too hard at Marcus's stories. I told myself it was nothing. I had no reason not to trust him. Marcus wove himself into my life so seamlessly, I stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. We went on trips, made routines, Friday takeout, Sunday morning walks, Netflix marathons where he always let me pick the show. He felt permanent, and I needed permanent. So when he asked me to marry him, I didn't hesitate. I said yes, because I thought, finally, after everything, I'd gotten it right. The party was in full swing. Glasses clinked, laughter bounced off the walls, and someone had just started to chant for Marcus to give another speech. Cameras flashed, cousins pulled me into selfies, and for a moment, I let myself believe this was the fairy tale I'd always dreamed of. I was making my way back from the dessert table when I heard it. A whisper, quick, sharp, like it wasn't meant for anyone else's ears. He told me he'd leave her after tonight. I froze mid-step. The voice was Jenna's. I knew her laugh anywhere by then. High-pitched, almost forced. She was standing near the bar, leaning in close to another guest, her eyes flicking toward Marcus across the room. My stomach twisted. Surely I misheard. The music was loud, the room buzzing. I told myself it was nothing, that my brain was just inventing drama because I'd seen Jenna hover too close to him all evening, but the words clung to me like smoke. Leave her after tonight. I forced myself to laugh, to smile for another round of photos, but the champagne in my hand suddenly tasted sour. I couldn't breathe, couldn't shake the thought clawing at the back of my mind. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I slipped away and found Jenna near the bathroom hallway. My pulse hammered in my ears as I grabbed her arm lightly. "What did you mean by that?" She looked at me like I was a child interrupting her playtime. Then, she smiled, not kindly, a smirk. "Oh, so you heard." My throat went dry. "What are you talking about?" "Marcus," she said casually, like his name was hers to claim. "He told me this was all for show, that after tonight, he'd end things with you." I laughed, sharp and shaky. "You're lying." She tilted her head, eyes glittering with something that felt too much like triumph. "Am I?" And then she pulled out her phone. With a few taps, she shoved the screen toward me. Texts. Dozens of them. Marcus's name at the top. His words. His photos. Messages that left no room for doubt. Late-night confessions. Plans to meet. Things he'd said to her while he was lying next to me. The hallway spun. My engagement ring felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds on my finger. Jenna slipped her phone back into her clutch, her smirk widening. "You really thought he was yours?" she whispered. "Sweetheart, Marcus has always been mine." And right there, with champagne still in my hand, I realized the man I thought was my fiancé was living a double life. I pulled Marcus aside, my chest tight, Jenna's words echoing in my skull. I held his arm, forcing him to meet my eyes. "She just showed me messages. From you. What the hell is going on?" For a moment, his face flickered. Guilt. Panic. But then he smoothed it over with that same steady expression that had once made me fall in love. He sighed, almost laughing, like I was a child caught up in a bad dream. "She's obsessed with me, Alyssa. She's been trying to get in between us for months. I told you she was unstable." "No, Marcus, I saw the texts. I saw your name." He stepped closer, his hands sliding over mine, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Listen to me. Don't let her ruin this night. Don't let her win. You know me. You know us. Look at me. I'm here, with you, not her." The room spun. His words were like honey poured over glass shards. Sweet, convincing, but cutting all the same. By the time we returned to the party, Marcus already had his story ready. I watched in disbelief as he moved from group to group, shaking his head with that patient, long-suffering smile. "Jenna's been unstable for a while," I overheard him say. "Alyssa just gets emotional. You know how she is when she's under stress. I'll handle it." And the worst part? People nodded. They believed him. Within an hour, I felt the shift in the room. My own relatives squeezed my arm and whispered, "Don't make a scene. It's your engagement party. Stay calm." One friend leaned in, murmuring, "Maybe Jenna really is just jealous. Don't ruin your night over her." Their pity stung worse than anger. I wanted to scream, to hold up Jenna's phone for everyone to see, but Marcus's version was already spreading faster than the truth. Every time I caught someone's eye, I saw it, the doubt, the quiet judgment, and for the first time, I felt it too. What if Jenna really was crazy? What if grief, champagne, stress, all of it, was making me see things that weren't there? I stood there in my own engagement dress, surrounded by people I loved, and I had never felt more alone. Because in that room, everyone believed Marcus. Everyone except me. I tried to plaster on a smile, to let Marcus's words calm me the way they always had. But the harder I tried to believe him, the faster the cracks spread. Because once you've seen the proof, you can't unsee it. My mind started spinning backward, replaying every moment of our relationship like a film I'd already watched, but never really understood. The business trips he suddenly had to take, usually over weekends when I wanted us to go away together. The nights he went silent, claiming he was too tired to talk, but coming back the next day acting like nothing had happened. The mood swings, the warmth, the distance, the strange guilt in his eyes I always told myself I imagined. And then there was Jenna. Always there, always conveniently close. At cookouts, she was the one who refilled his drink before I could. At parties, she found her way into photos standing right beside him. At the engagement party planning dinner, she was the one who insisted on helping with details. At the time, I thought she was being friendly, helpful, maybe even trying to be my friend. But sitting there, champagne sweating in my hand, I realized she hadn't been orbiting me at all. She'd been orbiting him. And suddenly, the timeline rearranged itself in my head. Jenna wasn't some jealous outsider hoping to break us apart. She was already part of the story. She'd been there from the beginning, running parallel to me, living in the same world I thought belonged to me alone. That's why Marcus never looked nervous when she was around. That's why she smirked when I confronted her. She wasn't a fling. She wasn't temporary. She was permanent. The truth slammed into me so hard I nearly staggered. I wasn't the fiancé. I wasn't the main character in his story. I was just another chapter in a book he was already writing with her. I couldn't hold it in any longer. My chest felt like it was caving in, the champagne bubbling like acid in my throat. I was done pretending. So I stood up. In the middle of the toasts, in the middle of the laughter and the music, I stood and called out, "Marcus, tell me the truth. Right here, right now." The room went still. Glasses paused midair. Marcus's smile froze as every head turned toward us. Jenna was standing just a few feet away, arms folded, smirk tugging at her lips. "What are you doing?" Marcus hissed, his voice low but sharp. "I'm done," I snapped, louder now. My voice trembled, but I didn't care. "You've been lying to me, to all of us. Tell them who she is. Tell them what you told her." Whispers rippled through the room. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My best friend Tasha stared at me wide-eyed, her phone half raised as if she wasn't sure whether to record or rush to my side. Jenna didn't flinch. She stepped forward, her heels clicking against the floor like gunshots. "You want the truth?" she purred. He already gave it to me. The color drained from Marcus's face. He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally blurted out, "I didn't want to lose either of you." His voice cracked, desperate, as he looked between us. "I love you both. I didn't know how to choose." Gasps shot through the crowd. One of my uncles muttered, "Good God," under his breath. I laughed, a sharp, broken sound. "Love?" I spat. "This isn't love, this is cowardice. You didn't want to choose, so you let us bleed for your selfishness." Marcus reached for me, but I stepped back. And that's when Jenna struck the final blow. "You should probably tell her the rest," she said sweetly, her eyes never leaving mine. "About how I was supposed to be first. About how you only proposed to her because you panicked when I found out about her." My heart stopped. "What?" My voice was barely a whisper. Jenna's smirk widened. "He was going to propose to me. I was the one he wanted. You were just convenient. A cover until he figured out how to untangle himself." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, chairs scraping against the floor. I felt all of it pressing down on me like a wave I couldn't fight. I wasn't the fiancé. I wasn't the bride-to-be. I was the side chick at my own engagement party. And in that moment, with dozens of eyes staring at me, champagne glasses trembling in shocked hands, I realized the cruelest truth of all. I wasn't the chosen one. I was the decoy. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the ring across the room or collapse into tears the way people probably expected me to. I just stood there, staring at the man I thought I would marry, and the woman who had been laughing at me behind my back. And then I turned. I walked out. Quiet. No begging, no fight. And with every step toward the door, I felt the power return to me. Because the one thing Marcus could never take from me was my choice to leave. Later, when the shock wore off and the silence hit, that's when the real pain came. The betrayal wasn't just losing Marcus. It was losing the story I thought my life was built on. Every memory, every plan for the future, every time I told myself I was finally safe, it all crumbled in one night. But the truth has a way of forcing its way to the surface. And this is the truth I carry now. If someone hides you, it's not love. It's strategy. Marcus didn't make me his fiancé. He made me his alibi. And Jenna wasn't just the other woman. She was the woman he chose, while I was the cover he used to make himself look like a better man than he was. At my own engagement party, in front of everyone I loved, I found out I wasn't the chosen one. I was the side chick. And as humiliating as that was, it taught me something I'll never forget. You can't control what someone else does, but you can control whether you let them keep writing your story. That night, I stopped letting Marcus write mine. And that was the last time I ever let someone else decide who I was, or what I was worth.